Jane Rowley asks, where did you get the inspiration for the St Mary's books from?
It's not a light bulb moment. I didn't wake up one morning and think, I'm going to write about a time travelling organisation called St Mary's. I first had ideas when I was sitting a history A level, because I'm living my life backwards and I'm doing A levels now, I'm an adult. And I was told that we'd have to make sure we passed because the school was stopping doing humanities and was concentrating, these were evening classes, was concentrating entirely on IT courses because the government gave grants for it, which is all very nice and good. But things like history, geography, law, English language, English literature, art, that was all going out of the window. And I was moderately enraged at the thought that history wasn't going to be taught as an evening class. It was all being shunted aside for IT. And whenever I was being taught history, either as at school or as an adult, I often pictured myself there and what would I see and how would it smell and what would it sound like. And so I suppose I couldn't think, when I sat down and thought about it, I couldn't think of any reason that you could use time travel for unless it was to go back and investigate the past. You can't take things away. For instance, if you pinch the Mona Lisa when the paint was barely dry, not only would it be recognisable as a fraud because the paint would be fresh, even though it's not a fraud, but the history that accrued to that painting would not exist, and therefore possibly the painting might not have any value at all. I'm really not good at explaining this, so you're just going to have to stick with me. So you can't plunder the past. You can't bring things from the past to the future, and ditto with people. I mean, Bill and Ted is great fun and a fabulous film, but you really can't go back and lift Socrates and all the others and bring them to the present because people had a completely different mindset in those days. So really the only thing you could do would be to go back and witness various historical events, and you'd have to be incredibly careful not to change anything. And it dawned on me very early on that if they just went back and watched, it was actually going to be quite a dull book. And things are really only fun when they go horribly wrong. And so gradually in my head, it was all coming together. It would have to be this organisation, which are a bunch of complete disaster magnets, and wherever they went, back in history, because they're not supposed to be there. And so they're like grit in an oyster. History is always trying to get rid of them. And this would give me the jeopardy that I needed to make the books interesting. Excuse me a moment. Have I rambled on too much over that one? And can you bring me back to what the question was, please?
How did you get the inspiration?
That was how I got the inspiration for St Mary's. It was a long, tortured and quite involved process. But I can remember the moment when I decided to sit down and start writing about this. And I was actually in England at the time, and I was painting a stairwell, as you do, and I certainly was. And as usual, when my hands are busy, my brain was churning away. And all these ideas were flooding in, and I suddenly thought, I must write this down, because I'm also at the age where if I don't write things down, they're just gone forever. And I remember I put down my paintbrush and picked up my handbag and went down the road, and there was a co-op store down the road, and I bought 2 recycled notebooks and 3 blue pens. And that was how I started. The plan was that I would write in the morning, longhand, and in the afternoon I would edit and tidy up. It didn't work out like that at all. I don't know why I ever thought it would. But that was the moment that I decided to write. And just as a footnote, when I came back to the wall, I picked up the wrong paintbrush and the wrong paint tin and completed the stairwell, which when I stepped back to admire my handiwork was half vinyl matte and half vinyl silk, same colour, but different paint. And because it faced a window, very, very obvious. So when I came to sell the house, I had to park myself in a decorative posture and hide the join to prospective buyers.